Hello, everyone! All two people. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's TRI Crypto Countdown. Crypto Top 100, Crypto Review. Crypto tastes great. Crypto, hanging out with a couple of the TRI boys this evening. Actually, maybe one of these days we'll get one of the TRI girls to come in and join the show. That may be kind of fun. Anyway, welcome back to the Frivolity. This is episode 40. We do this once a week, so that can't be right. Haven't we been doing this well over a year, haven't we?
It's about a year, but we've had some weeks off.
Is it? All right. Well, anyway, as you heard, we got Nick on the call here this evening. Hi, Nick. How you doing tonight?
Good as always. Ready to talk some crypto.
Awesome. Again, closer and closer to the big move, though, eh?
I am in an empty house. I pretty much have my computer set up, and as soon as I wake up tomorrow, that's going away too.
Oh boy. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think Nick said that he's going to bow out of the show here for at least a few weeks while he gets sort of settled into his new digs. So, good luck with that, and let's mine Nick for as much knowledge tonight as possible.
Sounds good. That's why I'm here.
Awesome. One of our regulars, Ben, said that he's running a little bit late. I think the boss has given him some trouble this evening as his daughter, which is fine. If anything, I love working with parents because I remember Liam, let's say, he was a bit of a challenge. He's special needs autistic, so he was a challenging baby. There's no doubt about that. So I always love to hear stories of parents having a hard time with their kids. It always puts a smile on my face. They have to go through it too. Anyway, so Ben's going to be along here later on today. Yeah, one of our members, longtime show co-host Derek, has decided to bow out of the show, and I suppose that's going to happen in life. So we are doing a little bit of a rotation of sort of participants, and tonight actually we have a new site member, straight from the mean streets of Romania. Paul is on the call here this evening. How are you tonight, sir? Paul, or I guess good morning for you.
Good morning for me. Hello.
Hello, Paul. So you all get to know Paul a little bit over the coming weeks and months. Great addition to the site. Got to say, Paul's a mean-ass trader, so it's fantastic to have him on the call, just ripping the lower time frame charts apart on Bitcoin. He's actually a very active member of our day trader community. So great to have Paul on the call here, and we'll get to mine him a little bit about his crypto know-how. I don't know whether you've watched these videos too much, Paul, but if anything, I think what has happened here, I actually get the impression that the people who watch these videos kind of like how we kind of try and pepper through as many names as possible in the 2 hours. So what I'm really going to ask of you guys, and what I ask of my co-show hosts, is to try and maybe just talk a little bit about the fundamentals of each of the stories. Interestingly enough, if you do happen to have a trade setup or something working, feel free to add that to the conversation as well, Paul. So welcome to the call, and let's see if we can add some value to people's lives. Little reminder, we do get a few people that watch this video, so it isn't like it's totally devoid of public interest, but I think, and probably one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of viewership is have a trade setup or something working. There we go. Feel free. I originally actually set this call up so that we could maybe get a booth running in Decentraland and just have these videos playing 24/7. So if somebody was in sort of the metaverse, they want to just sit and learn how to trade and learn how to chart and stuff, then they could. And so we've been doing this now for quite a while. I guess it's just a little bit under a year. I could have sworn it was we started this last winter. But anyway, I do remember we started off right around the time when Alan was pumping up that Dogecoin. Wow, what a difference in this world, eh? In 1 year. Anyway, the point of the matter here is if you do enjoy the show, if you do want to help us get that booth up and running and going, we do have a little Ethereum donation wallet address on the call here. And if you want to participate, awesome. We'd love you for it. Hugs and kisses. Obviously not holding a gun to anybody's head, but just let karma guide your thoughts. As well, Ben has put this app together. There is a QR code, so you can throw it on your cell phone, I guess, or your paw. What do they call those? Anyway, tablets, that kind of stuff. Because they don't really do tablets too much anymore, eh? Like 10 years ago, tablets were all the rage, but I don't really hear too much people talking about the tablet PC anymore. Anyway, if you do want to throw this on your cell phone, I've even asked Paul to get familiar with this. Of course, we'll have Ben on later on. He'll probably give us an update on how this is going, but it's a great little way to follow. We do have a spreadsheet. I don't really like giving out the spreadsheet publicly because it's got a whole bunch of pages on it, but the work that we do here, I think it is updated on this little app, so you can get all the latest stuff that we do off of the app. Super cool little function Ben put together. So with all that said, there's your background, and of course, I suppose I wouldn't be a capitalist if I didn't give you a shill for the site. So I suppose we'll just take a moment and talk a little bit. I have to say, we spent this past developer cycle from the peak in 2017 right through to basically now, just over the past, I don't know, say 6 months or so, we got this up and running. Our developer cycle, TRI, has been working like a dog, getting sort of my 1980s website that I used to do when I was a broker myself. Get this page operating in a 21st century sort of format with code that's written correctly and all that kind of stuff. And I have to say, very, very impressed with the job Stuart has done. Nose to the grindstone. He's really worked extremely hard over the past few years, and I think it's the project's come together really nicely. And I'm hearing people saying that this crypto breadth indicator tool now is becoming absolutely invaluable. So much so, I'm actually quite proud of this. One of our site members has actually just literally created a trading plan around the breadth indicator, and he's absolutely killing the market just based on taking buy and sell signals off of the breadth indicator. And I've also heard people say that they're running algos, and when they run the algos, if the breadth indicator is pointing positive and they run buy algos, those are killing it. When this thing's rolled over and it's negative, when they run sell algos, those are killing it. And also, Stuart, of course, he's so adorable. He's his very first sort of dream, he told me when he first came to me to learn how to trade, was I want to build an algo. And he was even saying that he built a very simple algo that is long only. It was doing fantastically well when the breadth was turning up. As soon as the breadth turned down, he can't trade his way out of a paper bag, a wet paper bag. So interesting to see how that's developed, and I have to say that this is probably going to be our future. Got to say that. And if I could just get Josh pointing this, I'll give him some money. Just let him trade away. I mean, YouTube videos? What the hell, man? I'm just going to sit and have these guys earn passive income for me. Of course, half the reason why I did this website was not to really make money. And the irony of it all is when I do concentrate on trying to talk best practices, there's this kind of image that Josh put together here. This is, I mean, ironically enough, if you want to learn how to trade, it's right there. This is how you go about learning how to trade and what a trader's life is all about. So as long as I concentrate on this, keep doing these free videos through the week, I do like 2-hour rants on the website and just blab away endlessly. I'm just curious, either of you two, do you get through the 2-hour daily briefs? Do you find any value in those broadcasts that I do? I'm gonna set myself up here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually at work, but during lunch, I'll just throw you on 2 times and catch up, and I can usually finish it. This week has been pretty long, so I've had to finish them after work usually, but I get most of it done during lunch.
The only question is, any value to any of all those rants?
Yeah, of course, especially at 2 times the value at twice speed.
Okay, there you go. I like that attitude. How about you, Paul? Is it worth actually, Brian, spending all this time just blabbing away? Do you get
Yeah,
any value
of
out of
course.
this?
Yeah, I listened the daily briefs from 3.5 years ago. Every daily brief.
Well, that's cool, man. That's a soldier if I've ever heard one. Now, that's what you have to be a pro trader. Is you have to be consistent. So consistently insane. All right, well, but as long as he's consistent, that's all I care. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is, when I started this project 10 years ago, and anybody who's watched these videos and stuff, and you all know me, money is not the actual motivator to do this project. But I'll tell you, man, we put all these pieces in place, and now like automated trading systems and stuff, the money is not a concern. What is a concern is, how the hell do we actually get through this damn great reset that these people are pulling on us? And the 6 different celestial events and once in a million year sort of event window that we have to somehow figure out our way to get through. So what do you think, guys? Do you have a newfound respect for Jupiter-Saturn crosses?
I mean, considering I didn't know what they were before I joined TRI, yeah, I'd say so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So no time earlier in your life did you ever ponder the significance of Jupiter and Saturn crossing paths in the solar system?
No, like I knew like basic astronomy, but that's about where I ended up.
How about you, Paul? Did you ever study
Yeah.
astronomy or
No,
Yeah.
no, not at all.
Brian's a weirdo. And hopefully I've made a positive impact on your guys' life. That's what this is all about, eh?
Yeah, definitely.
So, gotta say, this website is just, it is, I mean, I'm not supposed to swear, and if anybody's gonna take a soundbite, this is where you inject a little chicken. But this website is the shit, man. This thing is so cool. I'm so proud of us actually pulling this thing off and bringing it to market. I'm just, it's so awesome. So anyway, this is our backdrop, and I have to say that this breadth tool has it's made actually the job of sort of figuring out what the hell's going to come down the road. It actually has made it quite a bit easier. I suppose the good part about the breadth here now is that the market, especially our top 30 names, is pretty washed out. So if there was a window for us to maybe think about bounces and rallies, well, hopefully we're getting close. And I can just tell you, if nothing else, and you watch these videos that I do, if you see the bread sitting up here above 80% parked like this, just cool your jets. I mean, that's just the simplest thing you can take away from this. Is that when the indicators start looking like this, you gotta just calm down. Put the mouse away, or put the mouse down. Also, too, shameless plug, might as well, just because I'm here. Our new school term is going to be starting up in a month or two. And the school is to do nothing more than teach you what a professional trader's life is like. And what does it actually look like to run a small business of trading. This is money. So as a result, you got to take this stuff pretty seriously. I think we do a very good job in our education program, and I think it sets people up for success. So if you are sitting there sort of on the sidelines, kind of like what Nick was saying before he knew me, He didn't really get any sort of introduction to things like the planets and their position and what their sort of influence on us humans is. I think the school program's pretty robust. And actually, Nick, we're officially allowed to make fun of Derek now, I guess. Hey, you kicked his butt. You finished your exam before him. Way to go.
Yeah, I don't need to make fun of him.
No.
I just hope he can. I hope he has time at some point to be able to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
He knows his stuff. He picks good stocks.
Yeah. And actually, I don't even, his little theta network, I think it's a pretty good idea. So he knows his poop. He's just got to write the damn exam.
Yep.
Anyway. But that's not the purpose of this. The purpose of this is to give you congratulations on getting your veteran tag. I think you got your veteran tag. I think I saw that.
Thank you. Yep, I did.
And now, I would say in my humble eyes, you are a very valuable commodity now. Because you now actually understand how this game is played. And actually, I hope to see you in the TRI SOF Club meetings. Because now we've unlocked the world of options for you. So I'd really like to see. I think you'll do really, really well with options. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. Paul, if I understand correctly, has finished the level 1 program. And this is the interesting thing about TRI. Is we do technically, through the level 1 program, we give you the skill set to pretty much start your small business of trading. And Paul, if I'm not mistaken, I think you're pretty much you're just using level 1 concepts and just I think you're taking some pretty good money out of the market, eh?
Yeah, I did level 1 in 2019, and I learned the rest from daily briefs.
Hey, okay. Well, you heard him. If he can make through 2-hour daily briefs Monday through Friday, and then a 2-hour broiler chicken episode. Do you watch the broiler chicken show too?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he picked up a few things along the way. I'll tell you though, for whatever it's worth, Paul, and I'll be giving you the sales pitch the whole damn time that you're here. What do you think? Was the conversation about WD Gann was that worth it? Was that worth the time, Nick? Do you think you got a different perspective on the world getting to know Mr. Gann?
Yeah, I mean, I got excited enough. I went out and bought a big 1,000-page Bible I want to get through at some point.
Yeah, and that Bible also forces you to read other books before you're even allowed to read the Bible, right?
It does. I got 30 pages in, and it was like, you should really read these other 2 books. So I finally gotten through those books.
So, here's the thing is, do you want to have that sort of doctorate level, or let's call it master's degree level of education in the marketplace, which I think, if you get through all 3 levels of the TRI program, I tell you, I would say Nick is more knowledgeable in the market than probably, I would even say, ironically enough, probably 80-90% of all the stupid Wall Street analysts. Because what ends up happening on Wall Street is you get pigeonholed. And, maybe you become now an earnings expert of Apple. And you can literally spend your whole damn life just pigeonholed, just watching earnings reports and revenue streams and what Tim Cook says, latest report, or Steve Jobs back in the day. And you don't actually even really learn all of the various different topics and concepts that are covered in the education program. So, like I said, shameless plug, my apologies, but if you are interested, I would strongly suggest that to set yourself up for success in the market at the very least. All we really want to do is teach you how the process works. But if you want to take your education to the next level, I think we do a very, very good job in giving a very robust introduction to the speculation business. So anyway, there's your shameless plug. Next term starts, I think registration is the middle of May. And I do hear that a lot of people are actually now joining the wait list. Okay, there you go. Next term starts in about a month and a half or so. David will be doing a big sort of marketing campaign, but if you want to, feel free to pop on this website. It's pretty simple, and also a whole bunch of references and sort of commentary from various site people on and students on the value of the course. So I'll put this in the YouTube page chat room there, and I'll also add it to the comments after the video. I'm not quite sure how I do that here. Let's go over here, and we will go edit, and I'm just going to put it here. I will say school term Q, I guess Q2, Q2 22 TRI school term info page, and we'll just add that link to the description. All right, so that's in there. All right, shameless plugs over. I won't harass you anymore with that. What do we feel like doing tonight here, gentlemen? Actually, this is probably not the page I want to be on. I'm working away on tutorials for the site and stuff, but we want to be over here. There we go. So we have this spreadsheet that we've been working our way through. I suppose why don't we start off with our bets from last week. Interestingly enough, Ben and I guess Sharktoshi was participating last week. We all had sort of a negative bias. Considering the Decennial report, and if you're interested, you can go on the website and get that report. January barometer, what the hell's going on in the fucking Eastern Europe. Oh, excuse my French. Not overly optimistic about risk. So did have a negative vote last week. Interesting, the market actually did kind of rebound smartly. We were falling right off the cliff, but we have come back quite a bit here, just even over the past 24 hours. If I'm not mistaken, I think Paul even took a long trade off of the lows there. Is that correct, Paul? If you got a screenshot of your trade, your latest trade entry. In fact, I think actually you even tweeted it out, didn't you? I seem to remember.
Yeah, I tweeted it out.
So just everybody in the public who's watching, let's see, how can I do this? I think he even sent it to me. This is, where the hell is he? Oh, maybe it's not on here. Maybe you tweeted it to TRIPMA. Let's back up there. No, where is it? Oh, isn't that weird? Well, if you have a screenshot of it, maybe actually, you know what we do? Now we're going to really put him on the spot. Let's go to Paul J's page. There he is. So this is the kind of trader Paul is. he's a badass. So, and the great part about it is it's incredibly pure and it's incredibly simple, the approach. But he's incredibly consistent. And kind of like, I watched every damn Daily Brief video for the past 2 or 3 years, Brian. That's the key to this, is just, figure out some little system, in this case, W's. Are they going to work 100% of the time? No. I mean, that's just the trader's life. You're never going to find something that works 100% of the time. But if you can find something that works at least 50% of the time, and you can force yourself for that 2-to-1 risk reward, this looks like it's quite a bit more. What kind of risk reward is this?
3-to-1.
3-to-1. Hey, there you go. Just out of curiosity, and let's see if Nick probably knows this, but
26%.
What was that?
26%.
Oh no, okay, so maybe. Well, so that's how often you have
money.
To be right for 3-to-1s. Yeah. Oh, look at that! So that's not even a question I asked, but he already knew the math. That's smart. Damn, I didn't know that.
What was the question?
So I like all our new people just to start out with, I cannot take a trade setup unless at least a 2-to-1 risk reward. So the question always for new people is, how often do I have to be right if I force myself to only take trades that have a 2-to-1 risk reward? And I think you know the answer, Nick, but...
Yep. If you want to make money, it's 34, but the break even would be 33.
Oh, there you go. Hey, what a sneaky guy.
Minus fees, plus fees, whatever.
Yeah, that would be gross. So net, probably slightly different. But anyway, the simple point being that you don't have to be right even 50% of the time just to be a scratch trader. If you are right 50% of the time and it's 2-to-1 risk reward and the bets are all the same, actually you do pretty well in this world. And that's the mystery. Like if somebody's going to be watching this video and you never heard this before, for Pete's sake, write this down. That's the whole point of me doing these videos, is to try and demystify this business. But most people are obsessed. They have to be right. That's where they get trapped. It's like our human psychology. We take personal offense if somebody gave us an idea and it was wrong. And to make money from trading consistently over the long term, you can't be personally offended if you are right or wrong. You just have to make sure that when you're right, you get paid commensurately. So, there's Paul. Welcome to the show, Paul. And as I said, should be an interesting addition to the team here. Okay, so with that said, Nick, you had a 0 vote. Any reason in particular why you were thinking neutral last week versus down?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I think it really just kind of revolved around the fact that 42,000 has kind of been right around where the yearly open was, and it's been just kind of a magnet, and so I figured we might stick around there for a bit.
All right. I mean, you're not terribly far off.
Yeah.
I suppose 4% lower does make -1s correct. But, if I was looking at a news headline and I saw, well, last week the price was 42.9, this week is 41, I'd pretty much just say, well, that's unchanged. But, hey, -1 turns out carried the day. So, congratulations, Ben. I suppose if Ben joins us in a little bit, we'll give him accolades. Congratulations, Shark Toshi. I don't know where you are in the world. But
he is watching this show.
Oh yeah, there he is. Great work, Paul. Oh yeah, look at that. And he's giving. You gotta love Josh. He's got the most beautiful karma, and I gotta say that's one thing I absolutely love about TRI. You guys have the best karma. I swear I could really learn something from all of you. Okay, so way to go, Sharky. Awesome. All right, we'll check in, I suppose, at the end of the show and get Paul's reading for this coming week. I'm sure Paul's going to have like a +2 reading to start it right out of the gate. Which will be good. What the hell? Oh, there he goes. I can't speak. Okay, what's on your mind, sir? Tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, something like this for next week.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe. Anyway, at the end of the show, we'll check in. And I suppose this will be our final Nick vote for at least a little while. Love to have you pop back in the future. You could be a guest host down the road if you feel like popping in and participating on a weekly basis, or whenever you can. Okay, so I guess we kind of got that out of the way. And by the way, Brian was right. Hey. Yeah, we kind of started off the video going, hey, broken clock is right just every once in a while. So, broken clock, it must be 2 o'clock, 2:37 a.m. Hey, I'm actually on time. All right. Anyway. Now, about a half an hour preamble there. What do we want to do with today's broadcast? What do you think is a good path forward here? Nick, since you're a veteran, I'll ask you first. What do you think we should do here today?
I mean, I'm always one for sticking to the process. So if we want to just get to Algorand and keep going, I'm happy.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we do that then? Where did we look at Algo? Was this over on? And for whatever it's worth, there's a cute little long setup that fired. I think Nick not Nick. What the hell's your name, Paul? I think he's long from down here, but there is a big W that fired there, and I'm actually thinking we could work our way back up here, but we'll leave that for the end of the show. Like we said, what we see coming down the pike. I think probably the best thing to do is let's just do a new chart, just totally clean.
Yeah, and we were looking at Algo on Coinbase before.
All right, so ALGO USDT. Actually, what do you? And that might be a good conversation piece. What do you make out of Mr. CZ's comment today regarding Tether?
So I mean, I get the argument that he's probably an insider, he knows better. Part of me just thinks he's trying to scare people and add some FUD to the fire. To me it almost seems like it's close to like a bullish signal that he's doing that. But
Interesting.
I mean, people have been talking about Tether imploding for like 4 years. I just don't see it happening.
Well, one thing that did catch my attention, of course, is I believe that the Chinese credit bubble has finally burst.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I heard that was that Tether didn't really have 100% backing, but they were using a lot of commercial paper to sort of make up the difference. And some of that paper was some of the Chinese paper that's basically worthless now.
Yeah, I want to say back when the Evergrande thing first happened, there was some rumors that they had a lot of paper through Evergrande, and I'll try to find it. I thought I read something that they, in their most recent kind of, I don't know, look under the covers or whatever it is, they had said that they got rid of a lot of that, but I'll see if I can find it quick.
That's cool. Can you add anything to the conversation, Paul?
No, same idea. Just nice fun from CZ.
You think? I'm sorry. What you think? It's basically FUD.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. I think Paul just fell off his seat.
No.
I think I think Binance just reached out and smacked him right off his chair. All right. Well, I hope you're
He's
okay
an
there, Paul.
insider, but insiders don't publish some information like that.
All right. Anyway, okay, so like just to give everybody sort of context of why I asked that question. I guess I consider myself an old man in crypto now because I went through this game with Tether last cycle. And this is the one reason why I don't really like this whole stable coin kind of game. And the problem with these tethers and this stable coin kind of idea is that if I understand correctly, Tether is, I think it's to a certain degree really based on Phoenix. I don't know. I mean, that's the way it was way back when. It was, I think it was sort of almost a product of Simon Dixon and the Bank to the Future and the Phoenix hack tokens that somebody came out with. But the problem, and I found with these stable coins, is that maybe the stable coin is relatively stable on Phoenix, but if you go to other platforms, oh my goodness, if there's any FUD that comes into the space, the value of these things just absolutely, collapse. And, I have my fun little account over there on Trex and Tether on Trex. I mean, literally, the market just fell apart. Now, it turns out things stabilized and everything was okay in the end. But I can't, if you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars in this damn Tether, I don't want to see fucking like 10%, 20% of my... I think I had like a $250,000 in this damn Tether. Do I want to see $50,000 swings in the value of my holdings? That theoretically this thing was supposed to be quote unquote stable. So needless to say, after I had to go through this in this stablecoin game, I got the fuck out and I've never bought a stablecoin since. I don't like any of that shit. And I don't mean to be rude. You all know me. I come from a broker background. I was a prop trader. I like to trade. I like the markets. I love capitalism. That's it. I love freedom of speech. I don't want to open up that can of worms. But I rely on you guys actually for the crypto FA. uh, my, just so you all understand, my cover picture, this is, if somebody was going to ask me my impression of cryptocurrencies, I start at this conversation. So, I will say, I've been at this game now for 10 years in the crypto space. I really wanted to get to know it. I really wanted to learn it. And I don't mean to be rude, but there are some pretty nasty characters in this space that will be more than happy to steal your money from you in a heartbeat. They'll be more than happy. And if anything, that's the number one reason why I do what I do. I'm trying to be like, I don't want to come across as arrogant, but I want to be like the light bringer, the truth seeker, the guy who's not going to blow smoke up your ass. There's a guy that I actually tried to train to be a trader. And when we first started this program out, the whole community rallied around trying to get this guy to act like a professional in the market. We even built setups with him that I even use today because the setups are perfectly legit. And I don't know what's happened to him, but he's gone down the dark road, and he's just, I think he's literally destroying himself. Because he's wrapped up in this sort of this evilness of the capitalist system. So, I'm not going to name names. I think you all know who I'm talking about. Very disappointing. But the point here is, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to try and protect you from these guys here. And I hate to say it, I went through the Tether experiment and through stable coins. Oh, not impressed. I will say the one thing that I really do like, we have the guy who actually sort of built this website that we've been working with since that 2017 peak. He actually, I won't name names, we all know who he is. He's really warmed to this decentralized stablecoin concept. And if you can build algorithms that run this, that are decentralized, they're out of sort of individuals' corrupt control, and there's theoretically an algorithmic backing to the value of your stablecoin. I'm very impressed with the job the DeFi space has done in trying to address this stablecoin issue, and I actually believe that that's where this is heading. So, I think Nick, you're a pretty big fan of the DeFi sort of stablecoin space. Do you believe in the DeFi stablecoin?
I do.
Okay.
I don't have a favorite per se, like he who shall not be named, who made the site, who loves UST. But
we all know who he is. I just don't want to like.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Like I hold most of my stable coins in USDC because I use Coinbase a lot and they guarantee it at $1. So that's what I use the most, and that's not even really a decentralized stable coin. That is more of a Tether, like a centralized stable coin. But I don't really care between DAI, Frax, Magic Internet Money, UST. Like I'll use any of those and feel fairly confident that my money is still going to be around. I spread it out as well to minimize risk. I just stick to one of the bigger stable coins, and I don't have a lot of fear.
Yeah. So anyway, long and short of all this is I would rather download all of that kind of stuff onto He Who Should Not Be Named. And if anything, I've been very privileged to have good people like you come into my life, and I trust these people, and I think they have the best intentions. I cannot trust something like a Tether. I have no idea what the hell's going on behind there, and the only reason why I'm mentioning is because obviously it's sort of the FUD du jour. and sort of 300-pound gorilla. Is that what derails this crypto market here in the short term? I don't know. Anyway, it was interesting. We did talk about that today on the site in the Daily Briefs about Mr. CZ's comments there. Okay, let's get into the list. Enough mumbo jumbo, Brian. Interestingly enough, all I'll do is I'll just pull up the. This is sort of the spreadsheet. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. This is like the default sort of setting that I have on my charts that I really sort of use these tools and teach these tools primarily in the education program. And we'll just have our conversation based off what these charts are suggesting. It's interesting, these names, probably the last time we looked at this, it was probably up here, and the note was probably, maybe we got to wait for this thing to come back down to earth. Do we actually have here's a chart.
Actually, look at that, because I liked what you drew and what actually happened, because it was before the bounce back up.
Okay, so there's our old sort of talk, and we're kind of like
end of June, beginning of July.
Oh yeah, so that's the that's sort of the. It's actually just about 1 year ago, eh? So let's see what happened. I mean, I guess my feeling was that we were going to do a bit of a channel here, and whichever way we broke from the channel would probably dictate our direction going forward. So ultimately, where is June, July? That's back here, eh? Wow, we've gone through a whole cycle.
So I mean, we broke up, and boy, did we break up.
So what's this price? This price 0.8651, and that's the beginning of July. So July. Oh, right. So that was actually, yeah, that's kind of cool, eh? So you can see that what we sort of said was there's going to be like a top end of the range up against here, and a bottom end of the range down here. That I think that's the back and forth there, right? Back and forth. And whichever way that breaks, I'll go with it. So that's a pretty good looking W there, eh? Probably also, too, you could have drawn like this 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 points. Give me a W on the other side of that, and away you go. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. I suppose you can see the bull divs trying to come in here. I don't know whether that was really a div or not. Do like He Who Should Not Be Named. He's actually a really big fan of when RSI Bollinger Bands tighten. That tells you something's about to come down the pike. So that was a little bit of a tell that, hey, we're getting ready to do something. So yeah, wow, that's a full cycle. Big bull, right back down to the bottom. How ironic, eh? So 1 year later, what the hell do we think now? Ironically enough, we could probably use the same logic. I don't know whether I would use something like that. What I've actually been doing recently is consider this like a head. And in a weird sort of way, that's a shoulder, that's a shoulder, that's a shoulder, that's a shoulder. So you can actually draw trend lines off of things like those shoulders. Let's see if there's anything that the market's actually respecting trend line wise. Something like that. So that gives you at least some lines to work with. Looks like here, I think that's the predominant trend line here in the short term. Looks like these two lines here came to an apex. So really, now that we're on the other side of these, you can see these are going to be your resistance lines. That right up in there, that's that node there. And then that guy up there, right up at the top of value. You know, we often say that that needs filling in. Good old muak. But if we do rally, then that, whoops, oh, darn. Come on, you. It always does that, eh? There we go. That guy's going to need filling in. And actually, yeah, that guy's going to need filling in. So there's quite a bit of work to be done on the profile here. So you can sort of see, ironically enough, we're going to rally up into this trend line. And this is where the public's actually going to buy. And we all know we're not supposed to buy that. But they'll buy and they'll fill in the profile there. Then if we do actually W out, then that will mean we're like accepting above value. run into that trend line, public will buy and they'll fill in that part of the profile there. If this does W out, great, away we go. Got a new bull market out in the open air. But a little bit of work to do here in the short term, that's for sure. No real W yet, but if anything, and actually one thing I've noticed with crypto over the years is that the market will goad you into going, okay, yeah, I'm going to bottom. And then there's one more dump. And, the scary thing with this kind of thing is the dump could be down there. That is totally doable. I've seen that happen before, which sucks. Don't know whether I really am like sort of calling for that, but I have seen it before. I guess the question ultimately is, and this would be an interesting conversation because this is basically like Benkoff check kind of stuff. There's that high there. That is the structure that they broke out of. Notice they came back down to that level. Hey, speak of the devil. So, hey, Ben. I hope you're doing well this evening. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. Actually, we were just talking about you.
He just mentioned Ben Kopchak for the first time all show, and you 1 second later you popped in.
There you go, eh? Da, 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 da.
My ears are burning.
So, here we are. The question is, does 2 Benkoff checks? Are we going to the well maybe a little too much here? That's dangerous. What I do see here, which kind of jumps out at me, is it kind of looks like shoulder, head, maybe another shoulder up there. So, and of course, if this is some big, massive fractal top right off of that breakout level, that would mean that, this has got to hold in here as support. So we'll keep an eye open for that. It's a really interesting level. This is the difference between are you a trader or are you an investor. An investor, I might be like, you know what, we're kind of waffling here. Maybe wait for the W's. Maybe wait for us to come back down against this original bottom here. Are we, Brian, I haven't got time to think about this. I'm really busy with my career. I hear really good things about this. I hear that you like your crazy 78.6 levels. Ultimately, the market will end up Wing off of that level. Should I maybe just think about putting myself on an accumulation plan? I don't mind that. What I would say is in the short term, the traders, it looks like there's actually a cute little opportunity here. So we had that key level off of these previous lows. Right? We would call this horizontal support and resistance. So boom, whoops. Let's even go. Horizontal support, there we go. And we can do the same thing here. And we could also do another one there. So, what I often tell people is try and hunt these clusters. So it does kind of make sense. All of these lows, gee whiz, what a surprise. Looks like we're seeing, there's clearly some buying appetite down in this area. And so what I'm just simply saying for the traders out there, I could definitely see, and actually I had to eat some humble pie here recently. I have been, and this is how my education in this space with working with candlesticks has gone. I had always historically thought that this was, you could not call this harami because part of this candle here is actually outside of the inside bar's body. And I would jokingly say to students, oh, don't call that harami or samurai will jump out of the closet and chop your head off. And then actually a student pointed out to me, actually, Brian, the Japanese candlestick guys, they don't care too much about the tails and the wicks. They call them shadows. What they really wanted to make sure is that the body of this harami body is actually inside Mummy's body. You can't even actually have a tail even go lower than this low as long as the body's inside. The Japanese candlesticks people are okay with that. I'm not. I would prefer that this entire candle be inside this body. And if you get that situation and you get the reversal, I think the signal is much, much more powerful. But nonetheless, that is an inside bar. technically speaking also too, and this is probably the best way to think about this, is this is a fractal. It's a weird looking fractal. It's not easy, but it is a fractal. And the easy way you can actually see this is Larry Williams actually did his little fractal study eons ago, and TradingView, a site like TradingView, a lot of the MT4 and MT5 platforms for Forex and stuff, they also have these tools on. There is the little fractal notation. So that is a reversal. You know, whether it be Harami, Bull Rami, Bear Rami, we're going to have to change the language in the level 1 course. I see Grimmy over there on YouTube. We got some work to do to figure out how the fuck we're going to do this going forward. Thank you. But hey, that'll drive you to swear if you have to rewrite all course material. Anyway, the point of the matter is that is a reversal bar. So, could you make an argument that, hey, Brian, we've got all this cluster of horizontal support, and I've got an inside bar here. I'm going to step up, and why don't we risk to a break of all this support? You know, whoever has some big honking buy orders down in here, we're going to let them defend this trade. So, you know, we'll buy the inside bar. We'll let the market play with this fractal. If this low is for real, you can see how the fractal low held there. If you bought that, hey, look at that. I'm laughing. So you take that risk on that trade. That's not a bad looking trade, and you got all of these lows here to defend your trade. Of course, what was the risk reward ratio that I want to default to?
2 to 1.
Thank you. This is why Paul, I bet you Paul fell asleep.
No,
No, still here.
I'm here.
I'm just playing with you, dude. You're awesome. Keep in mind, everybody, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning for Paul. He's a total soldier, so rock on, dude. All right, so the point of the matter I'm trying to make here is if you fancied yourself a trader, right, that's actually not a terrible trade level there. And you can see the market's even trying to accept higher here as we speak. And the interesting thing with 2 to 1 like that, that's pretty small. I mean, hopefully everybody sees, well, Brian, if we rally up, we might actually like ignite a cascade of selling, because there's going to be a whole bunch of buy on stops. So people who see this big W and want to basically buy if the W comes in, they're gonna, and it's really a question of whether the exchange actually handles the format. And frankly speaking, I can't comment on Binance. But if this was a futures market, if it was OMS, if it was a stock market, whatever, right? This would be a buy on stop order where basically one tick up here, boom, you go long. And interestingly enough, if that fires, also too, anybody who's short, this probably has a whole bunch of stop loss orders also working here. So these people would be short. So interestingly enough, their stop loss order is, a buy on stop as well. So not only do you have the people that are short, that, and we just basically teach people as you make lower highs and lower lows, maybe you want to move your stop loss order down. Would I actually be doing that on this? Maybe not. I'd probably do 3 high low, and I'd probably have my stop right here, which is pretty close to that. But I could very easily see if this thing ticks up through here and maybe on some sort of mass panic and people are just liquidating all Tether holdings and just running into crypto to try and get out of the Tether space. That could happen. You get this sort of complete run in the market, and I've seen that happen before. When when people start freaking out in Tether, you often see Bitcoin itself jumps up violently. So anyway, the point being that there's our cute little traders trade. You can see it, and they get their 2 to 1, boom, take profits. If this isn't a breakout, then fine, the market just sort of gyrates in this trading range kind of idea. Kind of like what we saw with that prognostication from last year, like this. And then you just want to simply play the breakout of the channel. I got a funny feeling it might go like this for the next little while, but my hunch is kind of like this image here. My hunch is at some point this darn thing's going to, I guess that was over here. And here, let's put away, this is a little bit distracting. That was like right here, right? My hunch is if we resolve to the upside, if we break through that, oh boy, look out. We're probably going to see a pretty nice rally. Also, too, something that is come to my attention. This is almost exactly a 1 year anniversary from things like the Coinbase IPO, from dog money and that nonsense with Allen and Doge last year. Usually bear markets don't really like to last more than about 18 months. Now, because of the DeFi pump, I don't know whether I would actually call this a bear. But, like if you look at things like, Doge, for example, it's probably the easiest one to look at. This bear is getting pretty long in the tooth. At some point, this thing's going to want to pop. So, you hear what's his face is going into Twitter. And he, I think the reason why he bought Twitter is because he wanted Twitter to use his Doge. And he's got all these billions of Doges lying around. He's going, okay, now what the fuck do I do? And what the do I do? Sorry.
It's tough to censor you live.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no doubt. Because you never know. Is Brian is he gonna play ball this week? No, here comes an F-bomb. You just never know. Anyway, interesting looking chart. Now, this is also a really good anecdote. What is the trend right now? Is the trend up or is the trend down? You can actually use a really simple tool that institutional players like to use. The institutional desks, they would say you want to use the 9 and 18 period moving averages. And this is what we call the institutional bias. So I do like that there, and I do that there. And just sort of what is the trend? If the fast moving average is below the slow moving average, then the trend is down, and vice versa. So you can see green is our fast moving average. This is a daily chart, so the trend is still down. More importantly, and this is where you really use this, is what's the trend on the weekly charts. So you can see, remember last year we talked about that June-July turn. So you can see, it's a little bit hard, but hopefully you can see this. Maybe I'll change the colors. Let's maybe change this to maybe like yellow or something so you can really see it. Nope, that didn't work. That one? There we go. All right. So you can see on a weekly basis, we rolled over bearish last, where is that? Yeah, actually the beginning of the year there, right? Still very bearish. The trend is still very bearish. And actually, on the site, actually, we even do this, and we'll be doing it even more integrated going forward. But we had a site member actually build this recently. I used to run a service when I was a commodities broker called the Weekly Commodity Trend Survey. And I would just sort of survey commodities for a commodities trader, because technically the value of a commodity doesn't really change over time. You can basically value commodities based where they are on relative price action over, say, the past year or two. Are they below the mean? Are they above the mean? And commodity prices just oscillate back and forth, back and forth. And you can grade sort of the investment attractiveness based on where the commodity is on this cycle, and then what are the moving average relationships. So, when we look at commodities right now on actually this page of John's that he just set up, and no, this is not public. This is just John's, and there's no guarantees, and you have to sign. If you want access to this, you have to be part of the TRI community. Maybe sign up for the 30-day trial, and you can ask John himself. But He has lots of disclaimers and stuff. Anybody that loads this page up, there's no guarantees from him whatsoever. It's just information. But anyway, you can see here, if we get a reading of either a 3 or a 4, I would call that meh. It's not really that attractive. You get like 3s and 4s in this part. You know, like I don't want to sell here. I want to sell here. So, meh. And I don't want to buy here. I want to buy down here. So, most of the time, either the market is not really interested or it's actually getting ready for a sell or it's getting ready for a buy. Very rarely do we actually have outright sells and outright buys. It just doesn't happen that often. So, you know, a page like this, you can see actual buy signals only have one stock in our whole universe. Look how many issues that we're following here, and only one stock is actually issuing a buy signal and no sell signals. What I'm trying to mention and bring to your attention here is hunting buys, number 5s. That would be like names that are down here. We're well below the mean. We just haven't had that moving average crossover yet. And notice there's a lot of crypto names that are doing that. And what's this? This is algo, eh? So I don't know whether algo's on this list. Might be. There it is. Algorand. It's giving us a 5. Why? Well, oops, where did the chart go? It's at the bottom end of its 52-week range. I mean, you're not walking into a trap here, that's for sure. The mean, and believe it or not, it's such a simple way to judge the value of an asset. Is just ask, where is this asset relative to its 52-week range 50% rule? So technically, if you come in here at 75 cents, there's a realistic, very, very realistic possibility this thing's up at $1.80, which is more than a double. Sell half on your double, get your free position, then who cares what the hell happens with the rest? So I can understand why this name would fall into this. We're very interested. It's got a 5 reading. You don't get 5s if this thing's getting ready to be a sell, right? A 5 is we're hunting a buy. We're pretty close. The only problem that I have here is, you saw those moving averages. This happens to be the institutional moving average. I personally, because Brian's a weirdo, and I know I'm probably talking too much. I'm supposed to be doing this rapid fire shit, but I just want to talk this out, so just bear with me. But I personally like the 13-period EMA, and very few people I've ever worked with in the market like 13-period EMA. So that's one reason why I really like it. Very odd. Nobody else is looking at that. And I also like the 30 SMA. And you can see the relationship there. Actually, we just turned down. What is this? Actually, that's the daily chart. Let's pop back over to that weekly chart. There we are. So you can see the weekly trend, according to me, actually turned down on the break of this level here. So we're very, very early in this. And, I've been counseling people. There's a lot of sort of reports by sort of old timers in the market that are suggesting that we turn somewhere in June, July. So could we have another leg lower here? I think so. And are you like in a huge hurry to go out and buy this thing? I don't think it's a huge hurry. But the way I sort of started this whole conversation off is I know that there are a lot of you in this that watch these videos because, hey, I'm more active than the little old lady. I fancy myself a trader and I want to get in there and flip assets. And I do find it interesting that, for the traders, that's not a terrible idea down there. Should we break these lows? You're just going to have to walk away. You're just going to have to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Got to wait for the next potential bottom to come in. So, there's my sort of spiel on this. Ironically enough, kind of like what I drew that chart last year, I'm going to draw the same thing and just simply say, you want to keep it really simple on yourself? just wait for this range to resolve itself. If you've got a W to work with, then you know the moving averages and all that stuff are probably turning back up. But for the traders, if you want to take a shot against these lows, that's not a terrible idea. All right, that was a big mess of a blab, eh? Well, oh, darn, I got the wrong thing. Well, now what have I done? Gotta go there. 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 Then there. Then there. Then there. So we'll say location, yes. Actually interesting based on our survey. So good that you guys are doing that. Remind me. Do we have any bullish divergence in momentum here? That's a big fat no. In fact, I hate to say it, but it actually looks like we have a bearish breakdown here. Nothing here. Nothing here. Willie's not even stupid yet here. So there's nothing here. This is nothing more than just a sharpshooter trade against a level. Probably actually if we drill down to like say like a 1 hour chart, there's probably something there. Yeah, that doesn't even look very good. Yeah, that's too bad. I was kind of hoping if we drilled down here, you'd see a nice polite W here, but that kind of looks messy. If anything, that looks like an AB, CD. Paul's saying we should look at the 4 hour chart. So yeah, okay. There's Paul's 4 hour chart. Do you take that W? Well, all I'm going to say is be careful that, in fact, actually, this would be a good question. If you placed your stop loss order just right there, what would we call that stop level at TRI?
Same as my initials.
Are they?
NS.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you're right.
No stop.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing rolls over. If this bottom is really for real, I wouldn't be surprised if they go after that liquidity pool and that liquidity pool. And it's actually remarkable to hear on like YouTube and stuff. Everybody's using the liquidity pool, liquidity provider. Everybody's using that expression now. Hey, have you heard that? It's remarkable how the new people to trading they pick up on these funny little expressions and they just run with them. So YouTube, and I suppose in this kind of environment where shit's breaking down, that probably the noobs are probably seeing that, oh boy, I am a liquidity provider now. Ouch. So anyway, if you're going to take this trade, I know it's tempting to put your stop right here because I don't want to have to get stop. But I got a funny feeling that this is a little bit of a trap zone down in here. Now, you know, one thing that an old boss of mine at prop firm, Johnny Hoagland, he used to always say is, you know, especially in crypto, remember, these guys, crypto's notorious for its wicks and tails. Maybe put your order to buy down here. So as they go after the noob stops, that's where you actually get filled. I tell you that I've seen a lot of trades where you get filled right down in here. In fact, actually, I would even say the killer level here is that candle body low right there. That's probably like an 88.6 off of that range. So, you know, there's the W. If you're like, well, Brian, I buy W's. I'll live by the sword, die by the sword. All I'm saying is I think it's in your best interest to have your stop below all this horizontal support. And just let all these guys that come in here before, let them defend your trade. Because I could see some nefarious kind of shenanigans down here. And you know when that's going to happen? I can actually tell you exactly when that's going to happen. So if you're in this, if you're interested in this, just watch for this trend line. And if you start getting closes below this trend line. If you get a close below here, and then, heaven forbid, you actually get like market structure comes in below that trend line, look out. So I know there's a lot of guys like Scott Carney, for example. He actually works his stops on these trend lines and just says, look, if the market closes below there, I'm gone. Just get me the fuck out of there. So, yeah, maybe that'll help you too for all you sharpshooter traders.
The one thing I do like too, when you mentioned kind of buying that candle body low way at the bottom or around that level too, I've noticed when I've been sizing up trades, it makes it a lot more easy to be profitable. It's not the size of the green box, it's how small you can get the red box.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so if you're buying that low, it really tightens your risk too. So
Man, very well said. At the end of the day, look at the difference. How often does this guy have to be right at 7-to-1 risk reward? How often does he have to be right to be profitable? Let's see if Nick knows this number off of the.
I mean, it's easy. It's just 1/8. It's 12.5%.
Okay. Wow. Well, this trading shit's that easy. Why am I even working?
It's just, I mean, it's just math.
All right. So there you go. From the horse's mouth. So you can see that if you force yourself to actually just concentrate on these trades that have these insanely big risk-reward ratios, you don't have to be right that often to actually make a lot of money in this game. And look at this one. I mean, did you have the balls to work your order right up in this area up here where your risk window is just that small? I mean, I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say it's easy whatsoever, but you can see, and maybe even think of this. Can I, if I'm thinking that this is a head and shoulders, can I force myself to come in and really go laser beam focused against that shoulder high area? And actually, a veteran in our TRI Secret Options Formula Club meetings, David, who actually does a lot of the commentating, this is his bread and butter. He lives by this trade right here. So I think you're right, Nick. I would agree with you. And also, too, let's also preface all of this with this is like super sharpshooter trader people. So if you're taking these kind of trades, you're not a little old lady. And if we break these lows, you got to have the balls and the tenacity to go, look at, I was wrong, get me the hell out of there. So just, everybody fully understand that. Okay, wow, that sure was a mouthful. So no momentum divs, no market structure. Ironically enough, the commentary is almost exactly the same as the slowpoke investors. You want to see those big fat W's come in, and I think there's a narrow sideways channel that's setting that up. For the sharpshooter traders, maybe you got something to work with here in the short term. So I don't know whether this was my note, but maybe I'll just say higher time frame early, lower time frame sharp shooter levels to consider, something like that. Maybe we don't need, I'll just say SS levels to consider, and everybody knows SS means sharpshooter. Okay, that only took a half an hour to get through one. Yeah, we're laughing. Okay, let's try and speed this up a little bit. Okay, so Tron, our view last year, looks like same sort of thing. Narrow sideways channel. If we broke above Mountain Man here, thing probably take off. If we M'd out and failed through here, probably the Bears won the day. So let's see what happened. That was over here, right? That was USDT. Where were we? Were we on Binance?
Yeah, I'm sure it was USDT on Binance.
What does this thing here say? I had the chart right up here, didn't I? TRX on Binance. Okay, so I had the symbol wrong. TRX. This is Justin's son? You don't really hear too much about that guy anymore, eh?
So, I want to say he became like, oh my gosh, like the ambassador to some Caribbean nation or something last
Did
summer.
he really?
And I always kind of wondered if it was a joke, but you're right. I haven't heard a whole lot from him.
It wouldn't surprise me, and then somebody just wanted to get him off of the world stage.
I haven't drawn this trend line, but I have a feeling this is going to be a nice setup for your bouncing down the trend line joke or story.
Maybe, yeah, coming along here, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, so first let's go see what happened versus our sort of thought from last year. So there's June, middle of June. We're expecting a rally back up top. This is a daily chart. So let's see what we got here. There is June. Okay, interesting. So here you can see everybody should be able to, in hindsight, now you should be getting good at this. You should see that big W. These are tough. I mean, having to take that much risk on entering a trade, that would be very difficult for me. And the irony of it all is that I don't even know if that even produced a 2-to-1. So probably the trade, which sucks horse, what, was probably this railroad tracks here against that candle body low there. Very difficult to take. Very, very difficult. And if anything, considering Justin Sun, maybe a little bit of market manipulation, maybe a little insider trading, all that kind of fun stuff. Wouldn't put it past you. I heard that Coinbase has been caught insider trading recently.
Yeah, that's some real weird, rough story coming out. That's not the stuff you want to hear from, like, if you are pro crypto.
Right. I mean, the sad thing is that is it. Let's see. I doubt Paul would know, but I bet Ben would know. Is there a certain lady in the U.S. Senate that would maybe enjoy having a conversation about crypto and Coinbase insider trading? Is it good? Actually, are you American? I don't know. Are you still Australian? Maybe he's not American.
Are you still Australian? No.
Hence is asking.
Yeah. Okay, we'll put you on the spot there. But name doesn't ring a bell, eh?
No.
I mean, is there
Maybe
Gary Gensler had
I think Nick probably knows the answer.
Well, it depends who you're
Right.
looking for. Ex-senator would be cool, Kelly Loeffler.
No, are you kidding me? She's as corrupt as shit.
You're looking at the other.
She
Probably
would
Elizabeth,
be
Elizabeth
the person
Warren,
doing the
you
insider
want Elizabeth
trading.
Warren, probably.
Yeah. Anyway, and actually, I'd be just curious. Paul, did you know who I was going for there?
No idea.
Okay. Anyway, there's a U.S. senator from the great state of Washington who last year when Ethereum premiums to buy an NFT were like $500 or something, she was going on and on about how much of a scam DeFi was and how it's all corrupt and all that kind of stuff. So I have a funny feeling she is going to have a field day with this. So anyway, the point that I would just make is actually, interestingly enough, maybe we'll give a softball one for Ben. Do you see how this actually set up off of your level again? So that's interesting.
Hey.
You might have said, well, Brian, I'm going to try and buy against that low. I'll try and focus in on that reload zone concept that you talked about, and I'm going to try and buy the check of the original massive monthly or I guess weekly W. I wouldn't fault you. What I'm just going to simply say is a trader that I am, I would have preferred to see us come down, put in a nice W here, and then I could frame my risk against those lows. That's the way I am. Is this a legit reversal pattern? Yeah, it is. And kind of like Paul was saying earlier, my hunch is probably if you drill down to that 4-hour chart, there's probably a really nice little fight down here. Let's see, how can I do this? Let's go like this, like that, like that, then go like that, then go like that, then go like that. Let's see what we got. Yeah, there we go. So, could we have drilled down to a 4-hour chart and found something to work with? Well, there it is. I mean, I don't know how slick of a trader you are, but there is the little W. It's not much of a W, but it would have been a hell of a level to come in down here. And I suppose this is like that last one that we just looked at there, eh? Probably, if you're going to take these kind of trades, what I've noticed is I would rather actually, believe it or not, risk against this previous low and these previous support levels. Mind you, that's not really a support level. So it would have to be against that big tail low there. Rather than coming in and just risking against this little low here. Now, it turns out buy on stop, you didn't take any heat at all there. But I think I would if I was going to buy. And I really do like this. I've told you guys this before. Candle body lows. That's a hell of a level down in there. But it does mean that you've got to be able to handle that risk. And you got to be able to absorb that tail. Anyway, I suppose there was a level there. Then, like we said, off the daily charts, very wide W. Very hard for a guy like me to take. And I don't even think this was a legit trade, right? Because you would have had to buy there. You would have had to risk down to there. And even at best. Okay, so actually, I think that was a manufactured trade. Notice how it got to exactly 2-1 and just stopped on a dime. So I got a funny feeling that actually was in a very intentional move. I can tell you, me personally, I would not have taken that. That just would have been way too much risk. I couldn't have handled that. Nick's little sharpshooter railroad tracks against those lows. That was probably the trade from last year. Not easy. Not easy at all. Definitely small red box. And interesting how that 2-1, if you had sort of said, well, I think these guys are going to gun for that 2-1, so I'll put my... what a coincidence. There we are at that 7.8 number again that we just saw there a moment ago. You might have been on to something here, Nick. I'll keep an eye out for this and see if I see this happen more and more often. Okay, so that was the past. Now, what the hell do we do here in the present? Like I said, half of the problem with crypto is you better be pretty damn slick on what the fundamental story is, what the drivers are for value going forward. And like I said, I haven't heard anything from Mr. Sun. So I don't know whether he's even up to anything or not, or whether, I'm noticing a lot of these shit coins, they're just drifting. It's like you don't hear any development story. You don't hear anything. Like the devs themselves have kind of disappeared. So I would probably suggest that if you are interested in this name, maybe let's check in on what the heck Mr. Sun's up to these days. And whether he even cares about his idea anymore. Wasn't this... I can't remember the story behind this. Was this supposed to be like a cheap Ethereum alternative or something like that?
Yeah, it's an L1. It's a competitor of ETH. I guess I don't know if I'd call it a competitor. It's supposed to be a competitor of Ethereum.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, looking at that chart, that's not an asset that I'd be too interested in. I would probably be really interested if we came back down against these lows here. And, this POC here. But my hunch is this all needs to be filled in here. All of that. Now, does it have a nice seasonal rally up in against these highs and then come back down? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know this story, Mr. Sun. I don't really have that compelling of a technical reason to be long. I suppose if I, hold a gun to your head, I suppose you could make the argument that we have trade locations. So we could put that as a check. I suppose also, too, you could make the argument, kind of like that other story we just saw. There is a bit of an inside bar reversal that's happening there. We are against all of these lows. So, this is probably another one of those, I don't know whether I want... the statistical odds of you getting blown out on this little inside bar, I think, are fairly high. So I would prefer to be able to absorb all this, but I think what's happening here is they brought the market back down against this bottom here, and so that anybody who's still left over that didn't get in on this bottom here, those are the people that are supporting this right now. So I don't know, if you're a sharpshooter, this is again one of those kind of sharpshooter things. You want to have a nice little low risk box. I suppose you could maybe even do like a channel here and go boom, boom, boom. So there's your price channel. Interesting how we're coming up against the underside of this. So you really want to see this market accept higher. What I wouldn't be surprised happens here is you can see this looks like a head and shoulders here. So we probably rally up into that level, then consolidate for a few days, which makes that head and shoulders. And then if this thing really is legit, then up we go. So coming in off of the head, location isn't terrible. I mean, you are coming in reload zones, so it's not like you're chasing. I don't know what the reason is to buy this. Considering how many compelling compelling fundamental stories there are out there. I mean, is this just yet another story? I mean, I suppose so.
I think one of the best things that I've heard you say about fundamental stories in crypto is what you said maybe like 5-10 minutes ago about how what have they done lately? It seems like it's been drifting and a lot of these coins are drifting. I think that's my main difference. I wasn't around back in 2017, but that seems to me to be one of the biggest differences now is that back in 2017, there were a much smaller number of coins. So you could catch pumps a lot quicker. Now it seems like you need to be part of a very like hype narrative that's going on, or you need to be really building, really bringing out like improvements to your protocols and actually be like hardcore building. And yeah, I think Tron to me is not one of them that's on that list, but I mean, others might have a different opinion.
Yeah, I would say 18 actually was. This actually looks very much like 2018, which is dangerous because 18 basically up here, and then boom into the end of the year, and we form our bottom into early 19. The fundamental backdrop, I think, is similar, but this go round, it's there was a huge bonanza that last cycle on getting listed on Coinbase. But Binance, I remember, and then of course Trex was a really big one, and Yobit, I remember they used to have like literally, they used to call it like the weekly pump show, where they actually had a tout that they were going to intentionally pump like 5x, 10x. We're not in that type of environment anymore where you can really do that effectively. And actually, interestingly enough, Coinbase trying to do that sort of same kind of environment, they're actually getting busted for insider trading, and getting called out for the stuff that would happen in that 16-17 cycle, but nobody would make any reference. Nobody would know anything about that. So the space is much more mature. That definitely is a good way to look at this. Also, too, I think that the regulators, like it or lump it, I think Trex got away with a lot of shenanigans. And a lot of sites like that did get away with a lot of funny business. And with the regulators coming down as hard as they did on guys like, a lot of the sort of marginal exchanges just simply got put out of business. And for Trex to even stick around, they had to do a lot of hurdle jumping and basically make promises that they're not going to do that stuff anymore. So, has that taken away the ability for these things to be pumped up really easily, where it doesn't really take a heck of a lot of like real news to drive these things higher? Yeah, I think it has. I mean, we used to half of the names that we used to enjoy rallies off of, they were total jokes. I remember there was one coin we used to call UFO coin. And even you go to the website, it was just like little pictures of UFOs and stuff like that. Totally useless. And of course, it's gone now. One coin that I made just a killing on, it was called balls. And they didn't do anything at all. But you had to have balls to buy it. But right? You know, that kind of thing. But yeah, those days are long gone. And I wouldn't even be surprised. See, the problem also with a name like this is, does it make sense? There's a lot of people that bought up here, and they're trapped here. So any kind of rallies and names like this, a lot of these people, you know, I don't think Ben's like it, but I definitely know there's a few, you know, people that were relatively new to TRI that are still sleeping on the couch on names like this. I don't know, Ben, are you still chasing, or have I prevented you from chasing markets anymore?
Just chasing those walk-off checks.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, you know, and if anything, that's good, right? So we've got Ben. Remember, do institutions buy up markets or down markets? So you could make the argument that somebody was chasing and FOMOing here. They're chasing the Wyckoff check. So they're doing the exact opposite, of course, of what the public is doing, chasing up markets and chasing that hopium. Anyway, I didn't mean to be rude there, Ben. I hope that wasn't rude. Anyway, so there's your image there. You know, actually, I think Nick really nailed it really well. I would just say, does that look easy to you? Because Nick said this perfectly a little while ago. If going in, I look at an image like this and I go, well, there's probably a really good chance it goes down there. And the moving averages are pointing negatively, right? Fast is below the slow. That's the weekly chart. So we know the trend is down. Does it look like this is really easy money to be made? And unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. You know, if we can get on the other side of this big downtrend line, we start Wing out, we're out in the open air and we're rocking and rolling, you're going to probably have people like Brian do things like bot setups, which would just simply mean that this is going to replicate higher. And if you're out into open air, actually that's not a very good image, but anyway, what I'm just trying to say is if you're out into open air and you start Wing out and you're above value and stuff, that's easy mode. Right, markets can move up here. This kind of market here, whether it be the 30 SMA that's going to hold down price, whether it be all these old trap bulls that are all stuck in here and just dying 1,000 deaths, whether it be that we're in value and technically once we enter back into value, which was really kind of like there, we're supposed to actually trade all the way down, back down to value low. This is hard mode investing. It's not easy mode. And I kind of like Nick's comment there a little while ago, you know. I'll come back when it's easy mode. This looks kind of difficult right now. I actually really like that sentiment. So, it's another one of these where we'll say location is okay. I mean, it's not great, but it is okay. We got reload zone here. You got reload zone off of the bigger range. Do we have indicator confirmation? Absolutely not. In fact, we have a bearish momentum divergence here. That's not good. Can you guys see that? You don't really see this very often at the bottom ends of ranges, but this is not good. So we're making higher highs in price, but notice the MACD is actually making lower highs. Yuck. And then on this dump, we actually broke through this low bottom here. Yeah, that's horrible. So, no indicator confirmation whatsoever, and no W's yet. Have an inside bar. If you're Mr. Sharpshooter and you can manage your risk and you want to go in there, you might get paid. But for Joe Sixpack, typical sort of market participant, this is not easy mode. You are fighting an uphill stream here. Fighting against paddling upstream? Paddling against the tide? I don't know. Anyway, you guys get the idea. Alright, so we'll leave that at that. It'd be interesting to see if that plays out. Like probably something like 2-1. The little slick traders are looking for that. So they might actually let them, a test of that high. They might get, sell half on a 2-1, move stop to scratch, and if it never comes back, then you're golden. But for probably the conservative investor, slower participant, I think you're a bit early. Okay. Oh, darn, I did it again. Shoot. Copy link. Okay. And we'll say poor Momo. I'm just going to say not interested. Okay, next one, FTX token. Let's see what we got here. Oh, fudge. Didn't want to do that. Let's try that again. Okay. I'll put that over there. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, so our old chart, we had to go to a different site to get this?
Or it was just one of those weeks that we were trying that site.
Okay.
Because you should be able to chart FTT here.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Let's see what we got. Okay, so just to review what we were looking at before, rallied all the way up to 64 bucks. This is versus the dollar, so this is not versus Tether. Came all the way down to 24, and that's about all that I had to say here, eh? Downtrend, everything's still just sort of pointing down. This was the end of June. So, end of June, I guess that was right in there. Hopefully everybody looks at this and sees that the RSI trend line that we identified, you can see how it came to an end there. Did we ever get Willie stupid here? Not quite. That would have been cool had Willie gone stupid there, but not quite. Interesting how we had a lower low in price here, but notice MACD did not make a lower low. And then on this bottom, MACD also made a higher low. So I think we were looking at this, and actually this is probably the best way to do this. If you have a V top like this, and actually I'd be curious, let's see if anybody can remember this from the level 2 program. Mind you, Ben, you haven't taken this, so actually Nick, you're the only one who can answer this, I guess. I don't know. Let's see it. Let's quiz Paul, because Paul's watched every single daily brief for the past 5 years, and he doesn't need the education program. He learned everything through the daily briefs. If I'm I'm just playing with you, dude. If I don't have market structure to work with and I want to try and figure out a trend line, what do I do?
Parking garage. If I'm
parking garage? Well, I'm thinking trend lines. So I'll give you notice how I have on here. What's the best thing for me to try and do? The answer I'm looking for is, I don't know, Nick, you want to help him out? What do you think I should do here?
A 45-degree angle.
Yeah. So, and actually Ben even had the answer too. Smart guy. Sorry to put you on spot, Paul. This is what I do. I'm good at this.
Yeah, it seems like I have to do the level 2.
Busted! All right, so, and I don't know whether the scaling's correct on this. We won't go down that fucking rabbit hole now. But, excuse my French. Notice 45 degree. Interesting. Look how that. Oh yeah. See, and here's the problem with the damn scaling is. This is, this drove a guy like WD Gann, right? He wants to make sure that everything's 1-to-1. So it's always a challenge to make sure that your 45 degree angles are drawn correctly when you're doing Gann. And this is why, because, oh man, it's so subjective in this computer age. So I don't know whether I'm really going to dive into this too deeply, because I don't want to have to go through how you scale the charts. But anyway, the point here is that this is a V-top. So a lot of people I've worked with over the years are kind of like, well, how do I draw a trend line off of that? And the answer is you throw on a 45 degree angle, but you got to make sure, of course, the damn scale is set at a reasonable 1-to-1 level. So I'm not going to go into that today. So my apologies, Paul. Point here is V-top. That V-top should have been tested at any point, and when the 45 degree angle is broken, you want to find a W on the other side of it, and away you go. And I get the impression that's exactly what just happened down here. That 45 degree angle, again, I don't know if it's drawn correctly or not, but let's assume that this is the correct scaling. I know it's a dangerous assumption, but we'll lock the scale in there, then we'll zoom in. And I often see this happens, that if this is 45 degrees, notice boom, boom, boom. Nice little W. So really, if anything, I think probably your buy signal comes in, that this is a range that's been broken. And notice the fight that happened right through there. They broke it out, then it pulled back. It actually closed down. Then they worked it back up, then they broke it out. So I think that's sort of your level, if there is going to be a level. Does mean you got to take a bit of a risk. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. That's $32 down to 22, so that's a good 33%. Can't do little old lady on a trade like that. This would be like Joe's six-pack, where you're going to take a bit of risk on the position. It's a bit bigger of a formation. Suppose Paul would probably be interested in this W right down in here. And Nick, these guys, pretty good traders. Probably also Ben, too. So, let's see if our risk roll. This will be interesting. Let's throw on the 2-to-1. And then let's see if this W produces that 7 or 8-to-1. We might have stumbled upon an interesting little tidbit here. So, not a big surprise. The 2-to-1 rally exhausted itself right at 2-to-1 there, off of this big honking W. That hopefully, if you're watching this over and over and over the weeks, you're seeing this happen over and over and over. That's very typical. Probably also too, and this would be kind of cool, is there a level that I could maybe use this W to try and maybe help me understand where market might run out of steam? Let's see if any of you guys are sort of with me tonight. Ben, any idea what I'm going on about here?
Talking about the line in the sand?
Well, we could do that. You mean you're thinking taking a fib going back up top against the top here? It is interesting. There is the line. Is that what you were talking about, or were you thinking going the other way?
Yeah, that's 78.6.
What if it was cloudy out, kind of? Maybe a little foggy.
You can tell Nick's getting good at this now because he's he can start doing these funny little word games too. All right. I thought I put the prices away. What happened there? Let's try that again. Price. There we go. Interesting. 78.6. Jeez, Ben, your level's spot on there. That would have been a killer level. Actually, what I was thinking is, and interesting, 78.6 on the upside. So, I like how you're thinking. But what I was thinking here is what would happen if we asked where, if this is some sort of fractal bottom, where would the sort of universe's power, because in essence, this is, and actually this is a concept from the level 2 as well, when we do the point and figure charting, try and understand that this is actually energy that's being sort of coiled. And on the breakout through the top, the energy is being released. And so that takes us to that Foggenbaum concept. How does that energy actually express itself? And the first number that I've learned over the past couple of years that I think is just superly, insanely valuable is 2.618. So let's see where 2.618 lines up here. Survey says, boom, right in there. Interesting. I often see as well, Mountain Man and 2.618s often line up really closely. In fact, there's actually a Bitcoin level that's exactly like this right now that makes me a little skeptical about whether this bottom is actually for real or not. So, if I was thinking upside objectives, believe it or not, I would be thinking that that 2.618 is relevant. And you tell me, did the market go chaotic once we got into this level? I mean, is that not the definition of chaos? Looks like it. Usually what ends up happening with these is well, I'm not going to say usually because frankly I haven't studied long enough. But I'm just going to say quite often what I do see is the market will come up and then it'll actually have to come down and kiss the original breakout level, kind of like Benkoff check kind of thinking. And then it works its way back up and then we go up to the next one. But if it doesn't break down like it didn't here, then the next stop is 4.669. Interesting. Did the market get chaotic into 4.669? Looks pretty chaotic in here. And then the next one is 877. So that's way up there. Looks like we stalled out here. Might have been able to actually do some other studies, but anyway, I would use that. This is interesting. 4.669 is basically a test of that high. So that's kind of interesting. Remember we said that was a V-top, so that high should have been tested anyway. Anyway. Okay, so there's the old trade. Pretty big. And then the question that I had was, if we actually look at this number, does NIX like 7.8 to 1 risk reward pop out at us here? If it does, man, I think we're on to something here, and I'm going to try and remember this going forward. 6.8. Ah, you bastard. Shortchanging me this time. Anyway, we could also even do a chaos off of that Foggenbaum off of that little W as well. Yeah, interesting. I always, when I draw these, I always want to ask myself, is the market actually validating the level? So interesting how you see the market went right up to that 2.618 and stopped. And remember we said that was a really, really important level to validate that breakout level. Pulled back, didn't actually get the full Wyckoff check, resolved higher up to 4.669. Yeah, we didn't really get too much play there, did we? And then 877, that was actually here. So actually, you know what this reminds me of is Luna right now. Because I had a sell, my next sell half on a double order was at like 120 if we look at Luna. And I had a whole bunch of these damn Foggenbaum levels at like 119 and 117 and 116. And sure enough, the market went up into these levels and then just got rejected hard. So painful. So I wouldn't say 877 was actually traded to there though. So I don't know whether I'd really... I do like that though. Wow, was that ever useful information there? Anyway, alright, I'm just blabbing away here now. Okay, so that's sort of looking in the past. How would you handle this situation in the past? Let's see what we would do now. First off, I kind of like the fact that this trend line looks like it's been broken. Really good example of what a hell of a fight there, eh? Bang, 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 bang. Is that a buy? Oh, no. Oh, hello. There's a W on the other side of a trend line, so that's good to see. Interesting how we pulled back right into that W level here and are stopping. Because this, now actually this is an interesting scenario here. So anybody who's taken our education program, like I said, I had to eat a bunch of humble pie here recently. But hats off. I mean, always learning new shit. Don't ever get to the point where you're so arrogant where you go, no, I know my shit and that's it and I'm not open. Somebody showed me, Steve Neeson did some work, and some of the Japanese candlestick traders, they would actually call this harami. I couldn't. This would make me sick to my stomach if I saw babies' feet not only outside of mummy's yaya, but even outside of mummy's low. So I don't know whether I would even call that. But what I would say this is, remember, reversal bars are reversal bars. Whether you use the term harami, what do you think the odds are that this is a fractal? Boom. Hello. There's a fractal. So, same sort of thing. That is a reversal. I wouldn't even call that an inside bar because the low of baby is outside of mummy. But the Japanese candlestick people, they can call that harami. I wouldn't, but they could, and they do. And, of course, it's their charting, so what the hell. I'll call this a fractal, which means that, ironically enough, the buy signal for me actually comes on a break of that high there because the 3-bar fractal. And also, too, for whatever it's worth, there's a lot of people actually in this world that don't like 3-bar fractals. They insist on 5-bar fractals. So 5-bar would be like this bar, this bar, this bar, this bar. And this is the middle, and we still need this bar to confirm the fractal pattern. And the buy signal would actually be a break of this bar tomorrow. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the whole 5-bar fractal. I'm not really, I like the 3-bar fractal. It works for me. This is how I have the Williams fractal tool set up. I would consider that a weak buy signal. And then also, too, is this in an acceptable trade location? Well, good old reload zones. Boom. 78 point. I love trades off 78.6. So this one's, it's there, but I would say it's weak. And also, too, that's just measuring this range here. We probably should be looking at that range there. So I'm not even going to say I even really like that for trade location, to be honest with you. What I will say is probably off of this higher rate there, all the way up to here, down to there. Actually, I do like this because that's Benkoff check level right there. Notice that hit there. Notice this huge tail right down in here. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. So I think there's some unfinished business in that tail. And Brian, candle body highs, candle body lows for trade location. I like that as a trade location. So, am I going to really like this too much right here? Nah, not really, folks. It's meh. Actually it'd be interesting, speaking of meh. Let's see what our weekly trend says. Do we think uppy here? We might. Here, let's get rid of the log scale. Let's go. Moving averages. Boom. Oh, no. So, ironically enough, actually, we're not even trending higher here on the weekly charts. So, don't really have trade location. I'm not overly impressed with this trade location. Do we have bullish divergence and momentum? Nope. Just a big blech. Nothing here. Willie's not even stupidly oversold. So I got nothing here. I literally have nothing. I'm just going to simply say, I guess that's this one, right? So I'll say, I think I got that right. Yeah. So I'm going to say, do we have the higher time frame? We did have the reload zone. Oh, man, it's kind of expensive, eh? I don't really like this. No on momentum, no on price structure, and I'm gonna say no on trade location. It's just too early. Sorry, I'm just gonna put a no, no, no. Too early for Brian. Kind of sucks. Sorry, guys. I would love to be able to say, yep, this thing's a screaming buy, but you know what I think is going to happen here? And it'd be interesting. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something like that, and let's take that as a image for future reference down the road. I just think it's still too early on this thing.
I like how you did that, so it ends up Wing off your 78.6. Or pretty
yeah,
close.
right,
Pretty
eh?
close.
Yeah. That's subconscious, eh? How can you tell my subconscious is... Mind you, you can see what I drew here, right? I drew a dirty bottom. So I'm not... My subconscious doesn't even really like this as a real bottom. It's going to probably look like this, eh? See how it made a lower low, then made a lower low? It just drives you crazy. The rally peters out. You're just like, oh, God, this is a waste of time. And I also really don't like the profile down here looking like this. This looks empty down here. So, anyway. Okay. Let's see. Can I get on to what's next? OKB. I don't even know what the hell that is. What is an OKB? Hello, Andre. Any EVUs coming up, Andre? What did we say that was? OKB? OKB. What the hell is this thing? Any idea?
I don't remember. I gotta go look again. This is one of them that I know I probably looked up like 2 minutes before we talked about it the first time.
Holy volatility, Batman. So we had to look at this thing on OKEX. So obviously this thing's a Chinese name. There's OKEX versus Tether. OKB.
That's what this thing is, like the Ethereum or Binance Smart or BNB. It's the coin. It's the utility token for the OK blockchain.
So centralized, decentralized, DeFi.
I mean, this one looks decentralized from what I can tell. I mean, this is like a 3-second look, but yeah, it seems to be kind of that blockchain's token.
All right, Andre makes reference to April 21st is the next EVU. Actually, Andre, if you could send me an image of that, I'd love to show that in the daily brief. Mind you, actually, tomorrow's Thursday, eh? So maybe we'll do that for Friday. If you could send me that, Andre, I'd love it. Or maybe even put in the EVU room. That'd be cool. Somebody remind me to talk about EVUs on Friday. Okay, so what the hell do we have here? Interestingly enough, this is a really good analogy that if you see your asset, like you're invested, right, hard-earned money, and you see the asset start to go parabolic like that, that's not a good sign. I mean, everybody loves to see that. Hey, we're all going to get rich, right? But that's not a good sign for sustainability over time. You don't want to see that. What you really want to see is kind of like what I was joking with Paul there earlier, and you can kind of see it to a certain degree here, is what you really want to see, just nice and keep it simple, is a 45-degree angle. Thank you, Paul. He's never going to forget that now. So, obviously scaling's a major issue here. What the hell scale should we use? But you can kind of see if we actually start hitting that 45-degree angle from the other side, that's usually the end of the move. But end of the move. Well, what I see here, and I kind of like this, is we don't like this. That's too much. But if we can somehow just keep marching along here, keep backfilling, this probably isn't the best way to convey this idea. I really need to square these charts up before I talk about 45-degree angles. But I guess what I just want to really convey to you guys, and just in simplest terms, is come on, you. There we go. You don't want to see this. This is bad, right? It's typical venture capital. Because keep in mind, think about it this way. If they can clear the price of this asset through, say, this high here, are there any guys sleeping on the couch up here? No, none. International Piss Test Day. All right, Josh. Thank you. So, this is why these prices often go like this, because there just aren't any sell orders on the order book up here. Oh, come on, you. There's just no sell orders up here. So they clear through these levels and there's just no sell orders up here. But the issue here is, who in their right mind is buying this? And of course we all know that, markets go like this. It's the public that's buying. They don't even know what the fuck they're buying. They're just like, oh my God, look at this thing. It's taken off. Joe Schmo says, hey, I got to buy this thing. I'm going to get rich, right? They just blindly go in and just buy. So anyway, back to our story. I guess the point here is it actually is a good sign, I think, that that's actually doing something like that. It's actually a good sign. I think probably the way this is going, as you can see, this is building towards some sort of apex here. And usually, and actually I'd be curious, let's see if anybody can remember, what is this sort of rule of thumb that Brian likes to use? I think I've told you this before, but maybe not. That these triangles usually resolve themselves. Well, speak up, Paul. This is your show too.
Especially when you have correct answers.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially 2/3 of the triangle.
Yeah. So usually these things resolve about 2/3 the apex of the triangle. So you can pretty much see that it's kind of going along something along those lines, right? Something along those lines. And I'm not really being that accurate here, just eyeballing it. Something like that. So I guess the question ultimately here is, when do we get to about 2/3 that triangle? And I gotta say, it looks like we're coming up pretty damn close to 2/3 about that triangle. So, this is one of these things that if you're watching this video, like I've just been at this game forever, folks. This is just something that I've learned over my career. Usually, and I don't know, maybe I should start the study from there. Something like that. Then this kind of gets screwed up because I do like to do that point off of there. But anyway, something like that. And what I've found is that usually we get to about 2/3. So, this is 700 bars. So what's that? That's about 230 or so, somewhere in there. So 230 times 2 is 460. So that's sort of like right in there. Somewhere around here. That's usually when these things try to resolve themselves.
That's your birthday.
Oh, boy.
Well, like very close.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Son of a gun, eh? So, and actually, interestingly enough, I do like the idea that we do the coast to coast, right? Was this May? Yeah, it was. So this is almost exactly 1 year of shit. I mean, there's your top. Anybody who bought through this, remember Alan last year, same old, same old. All of these people have been dying 1,000 deaths for 1 full year. My hunch is, and also too, we talk about wicks and tails like to be eaten. There's something very suspicious about this tail right down here. Probably also too, if we do a fib off of that range, that's probably good old reload zones, all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, so candle body lows for trade location. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, and you said right around my birthday. Where is that? Somewhere right in here. I kind of like the idea of like one more dip. Also too, and I keep referencing it, but DCNEL report, January barometer, U.S. typical midterm election year price action. Everything is saying that there's going to be some sort of trough coming up right here through this May-June window. So if I was looking for this thing to resolve and put in some sort of final climactic bottom, it would be through that window there. So, can you buy that right now? I don't think so. Kind of no man's land. Keep it really simple. What's the weekly trend? Weekly trend right now is bearish. There's no real, push like, oh my God, I got to get into this. And then also too, what I would say is there a U.S. individual that goes by the nickname Granny, at least around TRI, that has a couple issues with DeFi right now? I don't know. Anyone?
Are you supposed to be selling?
Yeah, and when she starts talking, what should we be doing? So I have a funny feeling there's going to be some sort of hammer that's going to drop here over the next couple months with regard to DeFi. And also, too, let's keep an eye out for whatever the hell that U.S. Senator from the great state of Washington, what she's up to. Because if this is specifically a centralized DeFi platform and the DeFi space is under attack, then I just can't see something like this really ratcheting higher. So I do like this kind of thinking, so I think I'm probably just going to leave it at that for now, which I know is, it's not really overly helpful, like, oh my God, I got to go buy this. If anything, you just got a weekly fractal sell signal there. Reload zones down at the bottom of the range. I don't even really like this for trade location. And price momentum, if we were using moving averages on a weekly basis, it's horrible. On a daily basis, if we're going to do our sort of 3 checks, and really I don't even know whether I like drawing the triangle off of there. I think I prefer to draw the triangle right off of this peak. But anyway, momentum. Interesting to see. Volume is coming in, but the impetus, everybody's falling asleep here. MACD price momentum looks like a little bit of a top just came in, breaking lower. Do we go and break that low? It looks like we're on a bit of an uptick here, but if anything, what worries me about an image like this is, can you guys see how this is like making one of those coils? So I don't like, it's interesting. This might be, sort of usually these coils, when they resolve, they go woo, and then they go woo. So maybe this is the downturn that flushes out the weekend shorts, and then we ratchet back up. But I don't really see enough here to get too excited. There's no divergence or anything working here. Was a bit of a divergence over here. Actually, looking at this again, I don't really like the trade location. But considering the fact that this div is in here, I don't like this though, because if anything, it almost looks like they were setting this thing up to rally. Like they were getting ready to rock and roll. Okay, let's go. Is that going to be an inverted head and shoulders, break through that neckline? All right, rock and roll. Don't like the trade location. But what I noticed here, and we saw this earlier, that actually, and I don't know, is this a higher high? That's 6'1", 6'2", 6'22". That number there, 6'3". Oh, it is. So 6'36", 6'36", 6'19", 6'22". Yeah. So this is a bearish divergence. See how we made higher highs in price here. but we made lower highs in the MACD. So that's actually a bad sign. So I get the impression that somebody really wanted this thing to rock and roll. But the recent breakout, whatever this was there sort of a big sort of push in DeFi recently? Was anybody trying to ramp something up?
Not that I can necessarily think of, no.
Maybe back there at the end of March? I don't know. Anyway, whatever the push was, it exhausted itself. You can see the momentum was there, but the buyers just didn't show up. And then as soon as whatever this pump was, and they must have listed some sort of name or something on OKX, right? That is using this chain, right? So that must be what this was. And I get the impression that the deal kind of fell flat on its face. Also, too, how are things going in China these days? Is it a party over there? Ben, what do you think? Are you getting any reports from Australia, from your peeps in Australia these days? How's life in Southeast Asia these days?
It's pretty rough, hey?
Couple of million people partying at home.
Yeah, like I think one of the biggest cities there, they actually shut the whole place down, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I'm sure maybe that was right around that lockdown, right? And everybody's just like, oh fuck, we're gonna go back into the closet. you don't like the party reference? You don't think they're partying?
I don't know.
Wasn't there also a China ban in, was it January, or did they?
Could be. I mean,
End of last year they banned cryptocurrency completely in China.
Did they? Yeah. Well, and where is OKX these days anyway? I mean, are they still in China? Maybe they've left China. I don't know. Anyway, put it all together. Nah. Just not much. I would say, let's wait for that 2/3 apex. If you got a really pretty W down in here, all right, maybe we can look at something. But the momentum's not there, price structure is not there, and location is not there. Which kind of sucks. And I guess we had to kind of figure that a bit tonight, eh? We're considering the market doesn't look really too exciting. So, okay. I'm going to put a big no on all of these. And what I'm just going to simply say on this one, of course, is watch for W at 2/3 apex of triangle. I think that's probably the best thing if you are interested in this. Okay, well, actually, I've been blabbing away here for a couple hours now. I'm sorry, everybody. I didn't really get through as many names tonight as I've done before. Shall we do one more? Bcash? Good old... is Bcash? That's Roger Ver, isn't it?
Yes.
You guys probably don't even remember who Roger Ver is, eh? Okay, so let's do a survey of my panel here. What? I don't know how we do this. What gesture is Roger Ver famous for doing on YouTube? Do you guys even remember this? Ben, you look like you're totally stumped. You don't remember this? No? Nick?
I wasn't
No.
around. I got into crypto when Bitcoin was $42,000.
Ouch. Oh, yeah. Okay. Paul, do you remember this?
No.
Was that no?
No, I don't know. What?
It was so funny. Roger Ver, of course, was in the original Bitcoin's community. And he owned the... There you go, Andre remembers. He wasn't impressed with I think it was the size of the blocks that the community agreed on. He wanted a bigger block so they could have like they could handle bigger transactions. I think that's how the story went. So he actually went and bought Bitcoin.com, if I'm not mistaken. I think he owns a Bitcoin.com web address. And he was going to have his coin spun out off of Bitcoin. And he wanted the Bitcoin name. And instantly when it was spun out, the community gave him Bitcoin Cash name. And then it started going like they called it Bcash, and it just got him so angry. And finally he lost it on a YouTube sort of podcast kind of thing. Somebody's going, oh yeah, so Bcash, and he just freaked out. It's Bitcoin! My coin is Bitcoin, damn it! And he just lost it, and he like flipped the guy the bird. And it was like a rage quit, and it was a big joke for quite a while. So poor guy. I never hear about Roger Ver anymore. And the interesting thing is that he's been sort of remembered for that violent outlash. But the irony of it all is if you ever hear him talk or anything, he's actually an incredibly mild-mannered guy. I mean, that's the irony of all of this. So go figure. All right, so the point here is why don't we finish off with good old Roger Ver Bitcoin. We'll call it that to placate him. And it's a funny YouTube video. To go watch it. I mean, everybody went. It's actually it goes down the same lines as Mike Hearn's Rage Quit. Do you guys remember Mike Hearn?
Only through your stories.
Oh.
I'm the wrong person to ask about. Like,
that's okay.
history.
That's fine. Actually, you're probably perfect. My hunch is if we pulled, I don't even know how many people are watching this, but we got about 3 or 4 people over on YouTube. How are we doing? 17 people, not bad. That's almost funny, eh? Anyway, are you guys enjoying the conversation tonight? It's kind of one-sided. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, let's finish off with a look at Bcash, and then we'll send you good people on your way. Where the hell should we look at this thing now? That's the question. Do we want to look at it versus Tether?
I don't know if it matters. We can just pick one of them.
Yeah, there you go. There's Tether on Binance. All right, what do you got here? Well, ironically enough, that doesn't look too bad. Remember I was saying earlier there was a name that we were looking at, and I said that it had to come back down to its big node on its volume profile? Which one was it that we were looking at? It was like up here kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I hate when it's up here because it's got to come back down and sort of bang against the big node there. I don't know. I can't remember which one it was. This one has done that. So that's good. What this chart says to me is if you buy this asset, you are actually long where all of the smart money is long. How often do we see... Nick, do you even remember this? Probably when you first came into the space. Do you remember when we were in level 2 and we show you the volume profile and we go... what is the classic sign of the public buying? It's where there's no institutional players in here at all. Do you remember that?
Yeah, D's don't look good.
Yeah, right? In fact, well, in this case, right, you can just draw your letter of the alphabet. There it is. And that's not... You do not want to be coming in and buying an asset that looks like that. You're just asking for trouble. So, what I see here, and of course we don't know how old this history is. It goes way further back than 2020, but just off of this particular chart, coming in down here is not such a terrible idea. That's the value guy talking. Now I don't know. Like I said, I haven't heard anything from Mr. Ver. In fact, I remember. Geez, I wonder if there's any people... I don't even think there's anybody on this site. I went down to California, and we had a lot of fun down in L.A., and we actually went and visited a Bitcoin cafe, and that guy was loaded up on Bcash, and he actually thought it was Bitcoin that he owned. So he didn't even understand that he didn't even own Bitcoin. So go figure, eh? Hey, look at that. Somebody on YouTube says buying BCH now. Yeah. I will say that, I mean, I can't comment on the fundamentals. So somebody, even a TRIer, let's do a little bit of due diligence. Let's try and track down Ver and see what the hell he's up to. From a value perspective, this is a name. Actually, this is, again, kind of like Benkoff check kind of stuff. That's a very institutional level. And gee whiz, look where we are right now. So this is a really good example where you are not chasing. The only problem is do you think that the public is even the slightest bit interested in this right now? They're not. They have no idea that this is even happening. And the sad part about it is maybe Mr. Ver's working on an awesome project. The damn thing will get bid up again, and this is where the damn public comes in and buys. I mean, it's so cliche, it's ridiculous. So, ironically enough, on first blush, of all the names that we looked at, this is the only one. Yeah, in San Pedro. Joshua, did you come out to that? Actually, I think we were in the Internet Cafe was in Long Beach. Yeah, I think I want to say Long Beach. Anyway, so all I'm going to say here is if anybody on the site wants to do some due diligence, this one actually looks like you're not walking into a trap. I don't mind even the fact that the price structure clearly, every time this thing gets discounted down into these lows, somebody's coming along and scooping this thing up here, eh? So, I don't know whether this is a psychological level. Maybe this is a key level relative to Bitcoin. But now that is a great looking little inside bar. And also technically Harami. Right off of a double bottom. That's a pretty darn good level. So, this one I'm going to say was just 2 days ago was actually in a very, very attractive level for a trade, guys. That's interesting. I don't know whether we have divergence here. You always have to be careful of that. Let's see. This is 16.8. So 16.8. And then this high here is... it is, isn't it? So this high here is higher than these highs. But this high in price is let's rephrase that. And remember we saw this on another name just a few minutes ago. So this high here is higher high in price, but this high here is lower than this high. So if you maybe zoom out a little bit, yeah, there we can see it. That's not a good sign.
It does look like we have some confirmed bullish divergence on the weekly, though.
That's encouraging. Let's see what we got there.
On the MACD.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so this makes sense, too. Do you guys remember, what do I say is this sort of duration of MACD moves? You ever heard me talk about this before? See, I don't even know. I haven't had this conversation on the site in quite a while.
Is that they move in 4s, 8s?
Yeah. So 4s, 8s, 12s. I often find that MACD likes to move here. So if we go, just measure off of the lows, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's pretty close to a 4. If we come down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, what a surprise. Up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Man, this one here was very quick. The whole damn thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the way right back down to the low. Be interesting to measure this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, well, 8, that's roughly. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess what I saw here is on number 4 here. I'm thinking that this needs to now roll over here. Now, it might just be something like this, right? Where you go 1, 2, 3, 4. From top to bottom, 4 bars. So 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And then we could start thinking about turning back up. That's what I'd like to see. I don't like to come in on a market that's been going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bars in a row. So if we think sort of like 4s, 8s, 12s, this is getting really long in the tooth. And I would be expecting some sort of pullback here.
Kind of seems like that's your version of like the MACD Tom DeMark indicator.
Could be.
It's been going in one direction so long that you're like, well, it's probably due for a...
Could be. Yeah, that's not a terrible way of thinking about it. I've never really been able to articulate that 4s, 8s, and 12s really well. But it's just something that I've had in the back of my brain for a very long time. And every once in a while I pull it out and go, oh, yeah. You know, you can see these move, you know, up, down, up, down, up, down. You know, you can kind of get a feel for the age of them. And like I said, like the one thing that jumped out at me when I saw this is 12 bars in a row, one direction. That's getting long in the tooth, and that's a little bothersome. So I hear what you're saying. You know, the key would be a breakout through this high. That's 15.8. Did we actually get that? 15.3, 13.8, 15.7.
I'm showing different numbers on the Tether Binance chart. Weird.
So
you're 930. Yeah, I have the
remember I do
1226.
funny little, you know, again, Brian likes to set up his indicators so I see stuff that nobody else sees, right? So I'm a real big fan of 9s and 30s versus the 12 and 26. We could change this to 12 and 26 and let's see what you guys looking at this out of the box see. Okay, actually that's a little bit cleaner breakout, isn't it? So, you know, if anything, I look at this, I don't see the same sort of firmness. I do see a little W down in here. Willie is stupid on a weekly basis. Actually, I want to make this really simple, our conversation about the weekly commodity trend survey. I mean, I appreciate your eye for that weekly signal, Nick. I think there's value to that. What would we sort of say about the trend here? Are we ready to start turning up here yet?
No.
Not quite. But you know, the first part of this turn always has to be that the market comes up and bangs up against 13 EMA. So we've got that out of the way. We're trying to turn back up on the sort of rejection of that. We start turning up here. If this W, and is this W confirmed? What's this low here? 259.60. 259.60 even. Yeah. There, you know, and again, oh, this is also, check this out. This is really cool. So notice just off of this range right here. Notice how, and let's see if you guys can play to connect the dots. You clowns that haven't taken level 2 yet, you wouldn't know this.
Yeah.
Who is interested? Maybe I shouldn't do that icon. Mind you, there is like that little notch right there that needs filled in. But who would be interested down here below value on a weekly price chart?
I'd say you mentioned his name tonight already.
Yeah, in fact, in his little icon. Let's see if the YouTubers can figure this out. His icon is that. Who is that? Hint, 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 my old boss.
We put YouTube videos of him up every morning.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, because I like the guy. And I remember when I passed Top Steps funding, there's even a video of me out there somewhere. Man, I went on for about a half an hour extolling. The only reason I was at Top Step was because of Eddie Van Horn and John Hoagland. The guy who actually owned, no, not Mountain Man. No, 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 no. Brandon was a cocksucker. He's not a nice guy.
Beep, beep.
You like how
Yeah,
you like that
that
part?
was the chicken noise.
But when I got funded by Top Step, they did an interview with me, and I went on. You are not going to meet a nicer guy in the futures industry than John Hoagland. He is just an absolute sweetheart. Anyway, so this is his icon. If you ever see that on my charts, that's Johnny Hoagland. And the funny thing is actually if you look at a picture of Hoag, now he's gone and grown a big fucking beard and shit, so it kind of throws this image right out. But when he didn't have a beard, he actually looked kind of like that icon, so it's kind of funny that we use that. Anyway, so this kind of jumps out at me is, look, if we actually come in and buy this, we're buying below value here. That in itself, I can tell you, a lot of professional traders, they look at that and they say, this is exactly what I want to see if I'm thinking about buying an asset. So there's a lot of things going for this idea here, guys. I will say, I don't know what the fundamentals is, but if I was going to buy a cryptocurrency, this is definitely something I would take a serious look at. So,
Yeah, I mean, fundamentals wise, this would be nowhere near the top of my list, but
yeah, now it would just be, like I said, if we want a TRI assignment, somebody on the site, you want to score some points with me, let's figure out what the hell Roger Ver is up to. He might not even be in this story anymore. I don't know. But let's maybe do a little bit of digging and see what it is these guys are up to, because that's not a terrible idea, you know. Alright, so if anything, I think I'm probably going to leave the video on that. If anything, it was good that we actually left, finished off with a name that I actually think is a buy. So it's not bad. I'm going to say location, check. If we look at the weekly chart, we could actually say, I mean, hell, how often do you, and you know, like how long have you been working with me, Nick? How often do you actually see weekly price charts? Ben, you can answer this too. Paul, you guys, I suppose you can answer this. How often do we actually see weekly price charts where Willie is stupidly oversold? I almost never see that. So this thing's washed out. I think on a daily basis, we ran into some troubles here. And this is the same thing that other one that we looked at. Something happened here at the end of March that took the wind out of these crypto sales. Having said that, because the weekly chart looks actually, and wow, look at that. Can you see the big bull div here? So, you know, this is the same as the other one. This thing, it looks like the whole market wanted to rally there, right? And you know what this is? I think all this is on the website. This was oh, not that far back. Oh, there's the S&Ps. Just give me a second. This was this right here. The whole market was ready to rock and roll. But then right at the end of the month, somebody pulled the rug out from underneath the market here. So, if anything, I like when this happens. First off, if you're thinking about buying this thing, just wait for this stuff to clean up. Wait for some sort of W to come in MACD, some sort of W in RSI. Maybe even wait for Willie to get stupid. There's no hurry here. And of course, I've been barking all along here that, you know, May, June, that's when the bottom should come in. So, you know, be patient. Maybe just let this bear div that formed through here maybe just let this resolve itself. If you can get some sort of W that forms here over the next month or so, this might be something really worth taking a real good look at. Because, as I had sort of said earlier, what letter of the alphabet, what kind of top is this? Is that an M or is that a V?
Just a V top.
Yeah. It's probably hard if you're relatively new to this. You probably can't see this, but it's an upside down V, just straight up and straight down. V for ver. Thank you. So, what did we say about V tops and V bottoms? Who can answer that? What do we say about V tops and V bottoms?
You're right. You got it, Paul.
I'm level 1. I don't know.
Yes, you do.
They like to be tested.
Yeah. V tops. This needs to be tested at some point. And the irony of it all is, if I was a shorting guy, candle body highs for trade location, right? I would be laser beam focused on that level right up there. So, I'm not thinking about shorting this. If this thing got a head of steam behind it, and actually, you know what? There's another really cool tell here. This thing will probably be a buy when we break above that trend line. So in the short term, we're probably going to rally up, and could you get yourself a risk-free trade, sell half on a double on this kind of move here? Maybe. But I think this thing will actually start trending when we break that downtrend line, and then we W out and away we go. And it probably happens on a resolution of the POC and accepting above value there. So, but as the ideas go, I like the location. I'm kind of meh on momentum, and I'm meh on price structure, but I love the location. All right, you know what? It's too bad that this put in this bear div right here. Because if it didn't have that bear div, I would say everything is pointing up. But like I said, somebody came along there at the end of March and just shit on venture capital. And it might be because of what's going on in China. It might be because of the rising energy prices and what's that going to do to the cost of electricity. Be interesting. Do you guys know whether this is POW or POS?
I'm assuming if it's a fork of Bitcoin, it's proof of work.
Okay. So maybe that's a little bit of it. Greta, of course, and all our electricity use. I am hearing a lot of, God, I heard a story today, out of like the New York Times or something like that, where they did a survey of crypto people, and it turns out crypto people are incredibly selfish people. Like, what? What a dumb statement. So I get the feeling that Big Brother is juicing the owned media outlets to feed us some sort of negative narrative here about crypto. It's probably because Big Brother is taking positions. Joey Diamond's buying up all this shit. But at the same time, too, I am hearing that the narrative is very negative from these public media outlets, which are all owned by the 1%. So they're just puppets and they're tools. And really now it sucks. We don't really even have a news outlet that we can go, what's actually happening in the world, without there being some fucking spin to all of this, which is so pathetic. So anyway, let's leave it at that. I've been babbling away here for about 20 minutes, gushing about this idea, because frankly speaking, I like it. I just think that over the next month or two, go slowly. You see how long this took to actually turn back up. Could it take a few more months in here for us to consolidate, and then break higher? Sure. But this is not a bad idea at all. I actually really like this idea. So, all right. I think I'm going to try and stop talking. Meh. Thank you. What I am going to say is, best idea of the night. So that's my thinking there. And not really technical, but I do like it. Okay, so what do you think, guys? Was that of any value tonight? Did you enjoy yourself?
Always.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Paul, what
Right.
do you think? Is this something you could get used to doing once a week?
Yeah.
I mean, if as long as he can stomach waking up at that time.
Yeah. I'm used to it.
All right. Ben, what do you think? Did you enjoy our offering this evening?
Yeah, always value.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome. Well, okay, so it's a win-win all around. I guess the last thing for us to do is let's do our big predictions. And why don't we start off with the new guy? We'll break his cherry. So, new guy, what the hell do you think is going to happen next week in Bitcoin? Are we going up or are we going down?
+1.
+1, I like
Plus
it.
one. All right, so he's going to go bull. So we have had guest hosts here. I think if you do decide to stick around, we'll make this your column. But for now, we will put a +1. And what does that get? That gets a what color? Yellow.
Yellow.
All right. Come sit next to me, you fine fellow. All right. Who's next? Nick? Nick, all right. Well, actually, Nick's over here, aren't you? So Nick was kind of neutral last week. What do you think? Are you still neutral? You're pointing up, pointing down? How you feeling?
So I'm trying to figure out how I want to play this because I mean this is my last week. I'm not here next week, so I don't need to defend this whatsoever.
+5.
Well, like, do I do the +2 and we go to Goblin Town, or do I do a -2 and we can rally?
Goblin Town.
You know,
What is this week? When's tax deadline for you?
2 days. It's Friday.
Yeah, so... But does that mean that maybe we have this big relief rally following that tax deadline?
I think I'm going big. I'm gonna go. I haven't had a +2. There's not a +2 on the screen, so I'm gonna go +2.
All right. Well, there you go. So he's putting his neck in the noose. +2.
I won't be around to get caught in the noose, but
Well, I'll be more than happy to chase you down. And if you're right, then what the hell, man? We gotta ask
I mean, if I'm right, I'll find a way to show up for the show next week.
Yeah. I told you so. All right, and Ben, what's the call, Ben? We going up? We going down? Ben, I think, has actually been the most accurate out of all of us.
I think I'll go with 0 this week.
0? Oh, a big fat unchanged burger, right? All right. What is that? Is that color? Yeah, that's pretty close, eh? All right. And now what the hell's Brian going to say? So, God, you guys are all super uber bullish here, eh? Let's see, my funny little cycles. Paul's still working his long, so I think he's going to make some bacon here. Nice job. What do I want to look at? I want to look at this one. My funny little cycles. Where is next week? Like 1 week. This is daily. So 7 days. So I think you guys are right. We have an upcycle here in the short term, but by next week we should actually be troughing on both my cycles. I am going to say, I think I'm going to go with, I think actually, I kind of like that 0 mark because, it's going to be tough. There is going to be a pullback here. I think there's a bit of a rally, like Paul sees his target hit here. But I think we're going to be pulling back next week. The only question is by next Wednesday, have we actually come right back down to earth? So I'll go with a 0 because I kind of like the idea that we are going to go up, but then we're going to come back down. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, so 2 of you guys are super bulls. Well, Paul's bullish. And 2 of us are neutral. Be interesting, Derek, if you are watching, maybe weigh in. What do you think is going to happen? All right. So thank you very much for joining the crew here tonight, Paul. Really appreciate your participation. Thank you very much, of course, Ben and Nick. And, of course, Nick is heading off to moving. Actually, Ben, didn't you just recently move? I thought I remember you saying you moved.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a lot of people are on the move. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for the participation tonight. I hope you, anybody watching this video, you feel like you got some value out of this. As I've said before, I don't really want to shill it too much, but just a reminder, if you did feel like you got some value, then by all means, we've got a Ethereum donation address. We're trying to raise some money to go buy a plot of land in Decentraland using that mana. So if you feel like you got some value, there is the donation address there in the description as well. I also put down the school page term info sheet. So if you feel like schooling yourself up on how to build trading plans and how to approach this whole trading business stuff as a business versus just shooting from the hip. I think our education program is second to none. I haven't seen anybody online that gives a product that even holds a candle to what we do. We have the great part about it now is actually the website is at the point where I think actual site membership itself, on top of the fact that we have probably 10,000 hours of video for you to watch. If you are interested, Paul here, he's been on the site for 3 years and he says he watches these daily briefs religiously. This, I think, is worth the site membership on itself, the basic site membership. Also, the library is just filled with just a ton of resources. Look at this kind of stuff that's in here. One of our OGs actually put together and gave it for free, which surprised me. Basically the whole damn thing of how you want to build and run your trading plan all in one simple spreadsheet for all the beginners on the site. I mean, holy moly. I mean, this is so next level. So the site membership itself is extremely valuable now. Whether it be the proprietary tools, whether it be our library, whether it be our video content, whether it be our screeners. I really am so proud of the way that this whole place has really evolved. So, lots of stuff for you to think about. If you did feel like you got some value and you just want to donate, you've got the Mana ETH avenue. But hey, we'd love to have you on the site. You want to pop on the site? We have a 30-day trial that's free, so you can come in, just hang out and see what the hell it is that we do. And my hunch is after you take us up on that free trial, you're going to be like, holy moly, this place is worth, I think it's like $50 a month or something like that, subscription. So. Okay, why don't we leave it at that? Hope you enjoyed the offering. Thank you so much, panel. Seems to me it's only fitting that our, what are we going to call you, the Romanian Nightmare? Something like that, should take us on out of here. He hasn't done it before, so we'll break his cherry. The only thing left for us to say here now, Paul, take us on out of here is...
Bye for now.
Oh, come on. You can do a bit better than that. All right, we'll leave it at that. Next week, you're going to be on the hook. I want to hear some emotion.
Next week we'll say good night.
Yeah. I'm going back to bed. Screw you guys. All right. Have a good night, everybody. All the best.